got mail. Good morning, everybody. You're tuned to Computers 2K now on the Nissan Communications Network. I'm Amnon, your host for the next hour or so, along with Nick.
Good morning.
Good morning. And Spence is here.
I'm here to communicate with the network.
He's back.
Yeah,
He's
I'm
back. Katie and Gal are busy doing stuff, so they won't be with us today. Our number is 561-518-9773, and today's show is made possible by vMix Software and is sponsored by Tom Sinclair of Live Streaming Gear. So, how was your week?
Pretty good. I got a brand new networking setup. I bought new networking equipment. Set that up this week.
What did you get?
A bunch of Ubiquiti equipment.
Nice stuff.
So
yeah,
you changed.
Very,
So you changed
incredible stuff.
Your router, your NIC card, everything.
No, I didn't change any of the NICs, but I got now I'm unprepared. I got a
Access points.
Yeah, I got a router and an access point.
Okay.
I got a.
And do you see an improvement?
I don't know that I'm seeing an improvement. But I was using a 10-year-old Netgear router. I do have gigabit internet, so I'm sure I'm seeing an improvement. So I got a Ubiquiti Cloud Gateway Ultra. That runs about $130.
Oh.
And then I got it does not have an access point built in, and then I got a Ubiquiti Unify U6 Plus dual band access point. That was also $130. So $270-ish with tax for the whole thing.
Very nice, very nice.
Yeah, it's cool. It's amazing how easy the setup is on these units. It's remarkable. And I had even with 30 minutes of troubleshooting that was my own fault, I had the whole thing up in less than 2 hours. Set up, ports forwarded, IPs assigned, everything. It was pretty impressive. I've never worked with Ubiquiti equipment for any significant period of time. It's amazing stuff.
Yeah, they are good. Good interface.
Well, that's it. I mean, the UI website is amazing. The big feature I was looking at, and I think I've talked about this before, is I've got Verizon has a plan that they call 5G home backup internet. Now they obviously sell. You can go to Verizon and get home internet that comes over 5G and it's permanent. But they sell a plan called Backup 5G. You get 7 days a month that you can activate this unit, and it's they're 24-hour periods. So if I started at 9 o'clock on a Sunday morning, that period runs until 9 o'clock on Monday morning. And so my previous router did not have two WAN interfaces.
Right.
So whenever I had to actually switch over, it was a royal pain in the ass. I had to move cables, restart the router because the WAN IP address changed. And so it was, yes, I could get it up and running, but it was not the quickest thing in the world.
Does this have like a hot standby?
It has a dual WAN interface.
That's cool.
Now the fallback unfortunately doesn't really work for me because the internet isn't always on that second port. But now if I turned it on right now and unplugged my primary internet, within probably a minute it would fall over to the backup port. So that was the main feature I was after.
I see that Starlink now has their mini antenna that they're selling. I forget what, and I don't know what, I think I said the plans now start at $35 a month. It's a promotional. And
Yeah, for the service, but you have to buy the unit.
you have to, yeah, but you buy the antenna. I can't remember if it was $99 or $199, but it's this tiny. It's a travel antenna
Yeah,
that you
for
take with you
RVs
on the
and
road. Yeah,
RVs,
yeah.
campers, things like
I
that.
did when we were away camping. I did see several RVs that had the larger antenna on the roof.
I actually used one of those about a year ago. I talked about it here. My AT&T fiber was out for like 9 days last year, which is the reason I have the Verizon backup internet now. And I borrowed one of those units from a buddy of mine that has one or had one. And it was cool. It worked. I didn't have it permanently mounted, so it wasn't amazing. But yeah, it worked.
Nice.
Did you see the story about the New Glenn rocket had a problem with the second stage? They did not put the satellite in high enough orbit. It's
Who
a
was this?
satellite. Let's see. What's the company now? I'll get the name open and I'll look up the story. They just this company which had used SpaceX in the past. It's a direct to wireless satellite for 5G.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so it's not you don't have to have a special adapter. Well, I guess you may have to, but the point is that um, they have several of these up in orbit now. But this was one of the new satellites that delivered these small satellites to orbit. And the problem was that they during the launch, because something was going wrong, New Glenn just cut off all the coverage. Instead of like addressing it, they were like, "Uh-oh," and they stopped talking about it. And finally, they came out later say, "Well, we didn't get it up into high enough orbit, and so the, the placement burn they got up so far, and then they had to reignite the the second stage engines to put it into the correct higher orbit. They didn't relight, so it's in a low orbit now, and they're going to have to deorbit it because it's too low that it's actually touching the atmosphere.
There
So a
is
$200 million satellite.
we don't have anymore anything with a space arm, do we?
Oh, you mean go retrieve it?
Yeah.
Not that they can just roll it out and send it up. So
I
yeah,
mean,
Bluebird was the Bluebird 7 satellite.
Bluebird. I'm not even familiar with
It
the
said one of
names.
the BE-3U engines didn't produce sufficient thrust to reach our target orbit. So I think what happened was the second stage has two engines on it. The first stage has, I think, 5 of these BE engines, and the second stage, the second engine didn't ignite. So big embarrassment for them because
Well, and
people.
I'm sure Jeff Bezos will be paying for the cost of that satellite if they didn't
Well,
put it in orbit
they're
correctly.
insured.
Yeah.
But the reputation side of it is bad.
Yeah, well, the reputation side, and yeah, but I mean, I'm sure there's insurance. I'm sure it's not $200 million worth of insurance.
Yeah.
So Blue Origin's going to be paying out of the pocket for that. I also saw this week that I just saw the headline, so I don't have all the details, but SpaceX was approved by the FCC for additional low orbit satellites. That it was apparently a big deal for Starlink. I guess they needed some approval for something.
This company was AST Space Mobile Bluebird 7 satellite, or it says direct to smartphone broadband service.
Yeah. So the SpaceX news is that they are now going to be able to upgrade Starlink with gigabit internet speeds because they've got partial approval from the FCC to, I guess, probably have a stronger uplink frequency to the satellites themselves. So that's pretty cool.
So the official term for the failure says a thrust anomaly.
Yeah, okay. Sounds great. What do they call it when a spaceship explodes?
Oh,
Unex-
unscheduled disassembly or something like that.
unscheduled disassembly.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's
yeah.
one
Which
way to put it.
SpaceX has always just had a good. No matter what happens, they have a good attitude about it.
Yeah, they do.
You know,
Yeah,
and
that's the case. Yes, some one of Elon's rockets will blow up, and he'll be like, "Oh, this is great. We learned about some new acronym that I just made up about how
I
it's
mean, what
okay
can
for
you do?
things."
It happens. It is what
Yeah,
it
I mean, it
is.
is part of it's part of
Progress.
innovation. I mean, you look
Yep.
at you go back to early NASA. I mean, they had before they sent a man to the moon. I mean, they had failed launch after failed launch after
Yeah.
I mean, issues and issues and issues. The innovation there was pretty remarkable. Um, to SpaceX and to I guess Blue Origin in some respects, to their credit, they obviously learned from a lot of that, and their issues have been relatively minor. I mean, we haven't seen huge flame outs or rockets blowing up consistently.
I think they've only had 3 launches of the New Glenn, 3 or 4, and only 2 of them were with operational payloads.
Sure.
But the
But even without an operational payload, for everything to work correctly is still remarkable.
Yep. Oh, I'm
Yeah.
enthusiastic about all of it. I think that but it seems like New Glenn they're not, or not New Glenn, but Blue Origin is not putting the same focus on development, because they have a new to build and assemble one of the New Glenn takes a long time, and they have not got to the point where they're just cranking them out the way SpaceX does. But
They'll get there.
oh no, they will, and they will be very much a part of what
Yeah.
happens. In fact, their lunar
Uh,
lander option that they put out there is actually very competitive. And while SpaceX is looking at different options, they actually were talking about doing um, a modified Dragon capsule
Interesting.
where they build into the bottom of it landing legs and other stuff to land it, and just use that as a basis for a module to land. It's
All right.
fascinating.
Let's go back, Nick, to what you were updating net networking stuff.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
this piece of news says that the FCC has expanded its foreign-made router ban
Mm-hmm.
to also cover consumer Wi-Fi hotspots and LTE 5G home internet devices,
Mm.
though existing products and phones with hotspot features are not affected. So apparently, you're not going to be able to get new ones.
Until somebody comes out with one that's
Well,
approved.
see, that's the whole thing with this is I'm not really sure how that's working.
I don't know.
Because who was it that got nailed when we talked about this? What, like 3 or 6 months ago? Was it Netgear?
Who got
No,
their
they were
it was TP
accused
Link.
of it, but they apparently didn't get a ban on them because a
TP Link is
competitor.
the main one.
Yeah, but if you go on Amazon right now and search, I mean, you can buy TP Link stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't exactly
Yeah.
know how that's working.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I think it's more of a consumer warning than it is a quote unquote ban. Or maybe that these any new products are not getting, because all of these, anything that is broadcasting any sort of radio frequency, obviously like a Wi-Fi router would, has to get an FCC that has an FCC logo on it, and it's gone through some level of testing to make sure that it's free from interference. And so I guess maybe it's just brand new devices that are no longer getting that approval, but anything that's already sitting on a shelf and has
It may be
received
that
that
it's
is good to go.
everything that's sitting on the shelf, and
And
not
that's
just,
that's tens of thousands,
Yeah.
potentially hundreds of thousands of units. I mean,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
not like these things aren't built on demand and shipped to your house. I mean, these things are sitting in warehouses all over the globe.
Well,
Yeah.
any chipsets that are, or routers that are assembled in China are suspect. They have to. You got to put a sniffer on and find out if there isn't some clandestine port set up doing something.
Yeah, and it's hard to do because they're baking some of the malware straight into the Nix firmware,
Yep.
and so it's damn near impossible to truly sniff out.
So, do you guys remember how great was Apple Maps?
They had a couple of issues early on that everybody freaked out about. The guy drove into a guy driving into a lake.
Well, listen to this. In a recent town hall meeting reported by Bloomberg, Apple CEO Tim Cook, that's before he stepped down, named the troubled 2012 launch of Apple Maps as his first really big mistake in the role.
Wow.
Mhm.
The product wasn't ready, and we thought it was because we were testing more of local kind of stuff, he told the staff at Apple. So apparently he realized now that it was bad. It was bad enough.
But
That
I don't think it really was. I mean,
Well-
again, we saw like two high-profile stories of some guy drove
Yeah.
into a lake, and then another guy almost drove off of a bridge that was closed or something. But that wasn't a. Yes, that is a map issue, but like, I mean, for example, I was coming home from an event last week, and DOT had closed the road temporarily to do some overnight road work,
Yeah.
and my map software didn't tell. And I was using Apple Maps, but it didn't tell me that because nobody had reported it. And so, yeah, I mean, I guess I use Apple Maps exclusively, and I have not ever had a problem with it sending me to the wrong place.
I use both, mostly Google Maps, but I do use Apple. And each of them has their peculiarities. I mean, there's things about that Google Maps has built into it now that are really irritating. I mean, you can have it. You're not even running it on your phone, and you've got CarPlay running, and it will tell you things that up ahead, and it's like, I'm not asking for this. Why is it doing this? So yeah, they're supposedly making it better by giving you information. You know, oh, we're here to serve you with information.
I was having a problem with GPS in the truck.
What are you using?
It's their own. I mean, it's their
So it's the Ford GPS.
the Ford GPS, which I updated about maybe 5 years ago.
Well, I was going to say that's the issue with
Yeah.
those is they never update.
Yeah, but it was taking me in completely different directions. Suddenly, from where I had to go, I said, "I know where I'm going." Kinda, he's taking me in completely different direction. And I was reading and reading and reading, and finally, I asked ChatGPT.
Look at you.
Yeah, and it says, "Reset, disconnect the battery, leave it off for about 30 minutes, and reconnected it. Reconnect it. I did. Fixed everything."
Now hold on a second. You were riding my ass about disconnecting my car battery, but you're allowed to disconnect yours.
I mean, look, when it's something like, why were you wanting to disconnect your car battery?
Because
It-
none of my windows worked, I was having an electronics issue.
I don't remember that.
Yeah,
Is-
and it
is your-
it ended up being a bad ground wire.
Does your car have that feature, the Volkswagen feature, where you put the key in the door and
And
you
all the
hold
windows
it
roll
open,
down?
they all come down?
Yes, it
I
does have
love that idea.
I-
Pam's car doesn't have a key.
Yeah, I've never used it because, yeah, I don't know. I never think about it.
The only thing it was really good for is on a really hot day, dumping the
day.
windows to
Yeah.
cool the car off faster.
I never think about it.
What I don't like about the new feature is that to have a door that has no on the pillar, it doesn't have a rail to hold the glass in. It's just the glass. The glass is free when you open the door.
Yeah,
They have this thing now where you put your hand in the handle and you start to pull on it. It will drop like 2 inches.
it'll
So it
the
clears
window
the gasket.
clears the
problem
gap.
with that is that if you don't know that, you just start yanking on the door. It's pulling the glass through the gasket before it can drop. And what happens if the battery goes dead?
Yeah,
So,
that's
yeah.
good question. So, Amnon, do you have do you have to pay for updates to the GPS? I assume you do.
I had to. I mean, there was, that's it. There was one update.
There hasn't been an update since?
Nope. And you had to buy the CD. It's not over the air.
Yeah, I'm not so. I'm surprised it's a CD. I'm surprised it's not an SD card or a
No,
micro
it was
SD card.
it was two CDs or two DVDs.
See, that's a problem for you, and I'm going to say you specifically because of where you live. There's been so much what I'll call major construction on roadways up in Raleigh,
right?
That, like, I mean, I guess the fortunate thing is you genuinely know kind of what area you're trying to go to, so hopefully that is fine. But
I mean, since it's
5-year-old roads, I mean, if you were pulled out a paper map from 5 years ago and tried navigating around Raleigh, you probably wouldn't have a great time.
I know that's that. So when I started having these problems with the GPS, which was about probably 6 months ago, I started using both the phone with Waze and the GPS. And I'm still doing that. And Hannah is on my case. She said, "Dad, why are you using this? I mean, Waze, it'll tell you what's going on."
Well, I wouldn't use Waze, but
Waze is wacky.
use well, the reason I was so I used to be a big Waze user. The reason I don't use Waze anymore is Google bought them probably 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And they've brought all of those features into Google Maps, which to me is a better GPS app.
In a more subdued way, though.
Yes.
Yeah, Waze is overtly, you see all these icons.
You're driving down the road, you're picking up candy.
All the Wazers out there, and it's like, is this car now Google Maps is doing a thing, car on the side of the road. Is it still here?
Yes.
Where like Waze would do.
Apple's doing the same thing as well. I don't know where they're getting it. They're probably actually buying their data from Google, I would guess.
Yeah.
I never tried to use the Google Maps to do it. Maybe I'll try that.
Yeah, I mean it's built in. All of them still have a major problem though, and I don't encounter it very often because I'm not in these areas. But I was in DC I was in Northern Virginia a couple of months ago, the Great Commonwealth, and the interstates up there have these especially on 95 have these insane merge lanes where it's like 6 interstates spreading in 6 different directions, and not being in the correct lane is a major problem unless you plan on cutting across.
Go through DC.
Well, that's what I was doing. So I was going through DC before I was getting to Northern Virginia.
It's horrible.
And it's fine to have a complicated interstate. I understand it's a complicated road network, but none of these apps tell you what freaking lane you need to be in. And it's like, merge right. And it's like, well, no shit, but like, which one of the 3 rights? Like, and of course, what the GPS is telling you to turn on to, 95 east or whatever. Well, 95 doesn't go east, but 95 north may not necessarily be what is on the sign, because it might be a local road like 495 north or something like that. And I don't know why none of them, at least in my experience, do a good job with that in particular.
It was a while ago.
Just tell me what lane to get into.
It was a while ago, but I was going north and following the GPS. I was just kind of mindlessly, and that was part of the problem, is I knew the right way to go. I'm just following the directions. It took me past the Pentagon, right into downtown. The navigation just ended. It just stopped. It's like, I don't even know where I am. And so I had to pull over and go online and look at another map, because this was a standalone GPS. This was not
back in the good old days.
Yeah.
I miss the days when we had just maps.
You can
maps.
go to do you guys have a Bass Pro Shop there
No.
in Raleigh? No?
Yeah, there's one. There's one in Cary.
You can go there. They have a huge map collection.
I still have it in there probably.
Yeah, but how old is the map?
Yeah.
You need
probably about 40.
I think Love's still has a decent map collection. No, there's one other big kind of trucker gas station, not Love's.
Pilot?
Pilot, yes, Pilot J or Pilot Flying
Yeah.
J or whatever it's called.
We use
They've
Love's
also
a
got a
lot.
map collection.
Unfortunately, Love's is on my bad list for a while because we were coming back from our visit to the Highland Games in Huntersville and we couldn't use there was no sanitation hookup at the site. It was camping, it had water and electric, but nothing else. So we're on our way back and we've done it before. We pull into this Love's on 95 and they have a dump station. Very easy. Pull in, construction is closed. Nothing on their webpage. Because I went to check. It says if service is available, and it was right there. So Love's is on my naughty list right now.
Would it be accurate to say Love's is not on your love list?
That's right. Yeah. It's a love-hate relationship.
Yeah. But yeah, I know that those three still sell. And I think AAA still sells. If you're a member, I think they still sell. I think you could still buy maps from them. I canceled my
You
AAA
can
this
use
year.
AAA has an online triptych.
Yeah, and I do remember that.
And we use that. I've used it a couple of times, but the major trip we did 2 years ago up to Maine was 2,000 miles. I used that to plan the trip. And after you got to get used to the interface. You're going back to old school in a lot of ways. But it was great. You could say, all right, identify all the campgrounds along the way and identify, the alternate routes. And you can stretch. If you pick up a little dot on the map, you can start to add waypoints and stuff without even having to put in names. You just drag it over.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Good old, MapQuest and what were the two? MapQuest and something else were the two that were around. But
all I remember is MapQuest.
I wanted to, I had a small networking story. I meant to do it before, but we started talking about something else.
All right.
I set myself up for issues I didn't even realize. It doesn't happen often, but I have a recast, a Fire TV recast, and every once in a while something would happen to the Ethernet connection, and it would just
right, and you had it on a timer.
Yeah. So what my solution was, I put in a smart plug in my office. The recast is in my office, connected by Ethernet, and I'd have it on overnight on Saturday night into Sunday. I would have it shut off and go back on again and refresh everything. Well, turns out that the smart plug connects using Wi-Fi. And what's on the other end, my access point on the other side of the house from where my router access point is connected by Ethernet. And because of the not wanting to run wires across the floor, I had a cable going out there before that was there, and I route it right back into my office. So what happens is the access point is also losing its connection to the internet. So the smart plug has nothing to talk to.
Right.
So it sometimes it's able to get to the one downstairs and we'll reattach, but sometimes it doesn't. So I come upstairs and I'm like, wait a second, everything on my rack is off. Why? That's what it was. It happens every once in a while. So now I have to redo this. So I'm only turning off the recast. I thought it was the switch too. That's why I was having the switch turn off. But now
this sounds stupid. Why are you using a smart plug? Can't you just use like an old school like light timer where the peg is like a minute from? Well, I guess those timers are every day.
Well, I mean, I've got some timers that are.
I'm not gall.
But the problem with the timer is it's every day.
No.
Yeah, that's a good point. You're trying to do it once a
weekly one.
I'll
fix it. I'll come up with a way to do it.
But he doesn't want to. You don't want to buy the digital ones are more expensive than a cheap smart plug. I was thinking of the old school little peg. Those are like dirt cheap. You can get those for like
but these
$5.
You have to keep it off for about half an hour. Because if you go the tightest, it's half an hour.
Because it won't fit. Because it's a physical.
Yeah, but I mean, if you were to do it at like 1 to 1:30 in the morning,
and let me tell you, those digital ones are not that expensive. You can buy 2 of them for about $20.
That's pretty competitive.
And then you can do it for 1 minute or 30 seconds, and it will turn it back on.
So the right
Oh.
thing for me to do is to make sure that the connection to my Wi-Fi on the far end of the house that's close to my office doesn't go down.
Well, you
So
put it
that's all I
on
have
what
to do.
you put the timer directly on the device that you want to control.
Yeah. Well, it's not. It's not the power on the router. It's the power on the switch here in my office. So yeah,
But
I'll
you
figure
were,
it out. I just realized this
yeah.
morning. I came up and I got a notification to say that your camera. I have a Wise garage door opener camera system in the garage that monitors the door, and I can open and close the door and all that with that. It
Oh.
says it's offline. I said, wait a second, why is it offline? Because
Yeah, this is like in the old days when we were remotely turning off a server at the data center. And you couldn't understand, well, why can't I turn it back on? Well, because
you
it
killed the
looks
networking.
yeah.
So you
Well,
realize,
I remember Amnon when you're going over to the Time Warner
yeah,
Colo,
yeah,
and and it's like, what is going on here?
yeah.
Yep.
What was happening? Was your DNS or something on that
No,
server? And you
no, it was. I mean, it was completely disconnecting the phone. This is in the days of the phone connections, the dial-up. It was
okay.
disconnect. It was resetting the concentrator. I can't remember what they call it. The one with all the lines in it.
Yeah.
And at that point, I couldn't get back into it to turn it back on. So
Yeah.
that's
Modem
what we
back.
learned. Oh, so you do a reset. You don't do a turn off until we got a device that could actually do it. Yeah. Anyway,
Mm.
Katie always talks about how she's developing this and developing that with Cursor.
Yeah.
Well, SpaceX, Elon Musk's rocket and satellite company, said on Tuesday that it had struck a deal with the artificial intelligence startup Cursor that could result in it acquiring, well, they did acquire it, I think, the young company for $60 billion. Wow. SpaceX.
This is good news for people that like Cursor. Twitter will, or SpaceX / Twitter / Elon Musk / whatever will dump hundreds of millions into it if they're getting good use out of it.
We'll
Now
see.
the question is, do they get rid of the free plan, and do they ruin that aspect of it? That could be a problem.
Did he do anything that dropped the free from anything?
No, but he's made some recent changes to Twitter that have pissed me off. I'll tell you that. So
What?
Yeah.
getting rid of TweetDeck.
Yeah. I don't use TweetDeck anymore. I used to really like it, but it's
Is there another?
TweetDeck was an integral part of my job, and it's gone.
And
Yeah,
there
Now,
is-
excuse me, it's not gone. Let me clarify. It's not gone. It's now under a $40 a month Twitter paywall
Ooh.
with their
Oh.
premium service, which
Ouch.
I'm not paying for.
And there is
I
no other app that takes.
No.
aggregator. Yeah.
No. Now, I will say this. There is a great GitHub project called Old TweetDeck, which modifies the old interface and actually does work pretty well. That's what I've been using. And so I've got limited abilities restored. They're supposedly coming out with something new, but that hasn't happened yet. So
Is it
Yeah, it
doing
seems like
what you need to do, or
no, not really, but it's doing
it's the
doing
closest.
enough that I can't justify spending $40 a month.
No,
on
not for something
Twitter
like that.
Well,
Jeez.
but I mean, not necessarily. If I was, and I do, I mean, I know this is probably going to sound stupid to some in our audience, but using X is a major part of my job. I get a lot of my news there. I get a lot of my traffic there.
That's
I
not
get a lot of
stupid.
my,
Why do you
no,
think?
but I'm saying for people that aren't in the social media realm and assume, like, for people that casually use Facebook, when somebody says, "Oh, I use X for work," they're probably like, "What the hell are you talking about?"
Yeah.
So I get a lot of my engagement on there. I build my brand on there, so I do get some stuff out of it. I don't know that I can justify spending $40 a month for it. Is my point. If it was 20, probably could justify that. 40 is a little rich. I mean, 40 is more expensive than my backup 5G internet.
Yeah.
which I don't even use. I mean, that's kind of the goal.
Yeah, I mean, you have priorities.
Yeah, well, it's not even priorities. It's just like, what is the ROI on
Yeah.
a $40 a month?
Yeah.
So my point is, hopefully he doesn't do that to Cursor.
My son Aaron
Hopefully.
uses it, or he's a director at a company called Service Trade, and they develop apps that run on Apple iPads and iPhones, and for back-end integration into Exchange and all kinds of back-end environments. And he's using Cursor now to build specific interfaces and features for customers.
Yeah.
It's not Cursor, and it is very rudimentary, but it's not the first time I've done this. Successfully yesterday, I had ChatGPT build a website. Now, I say website, essentially build a landing page. I had the entire page built start to finish with one original prompt, which I will note I put a lot of detail into the original prompt. And then I had to have it make one additional modification. And I did all of that with 2 actual prompts to ChatGPT yesterday, which I was very impressed with. ncmorningline.com. I mean, again, it's nothing fancy. It's not anything complicated. But I was impressed that it was 2 prompts and it was done. I mean, obviously, I had to modify some stuff like changing and adding some links. But it did a pretty damn good job of spitting that out.
Amnon, do you remember Jim Duffy when he used to make the joke that said, "I'm setting up a web page. It's called Keep Jim in the
Yeah.
Green."
Yeah.
That's what we should do: is create one, keep Spencer in the green, like just a landing page to say, we need to fund his lavish lifestyle or something like that. People will send money.
Yeah.
Ever hear from him?
No, I don't know. I mean, I see posts from him on LinkedIn, Facebook every now and then, but that's about it. I know, Spence, I know you like cars.
Yes. Love-hate relationship.
So, there is a glass roof, but no rear view window. Instead, the Polestar 4 replaces the rear view mirror with live feed from a wide-angle camera. Its high-resolution display, 1480 by 320, promises a panoramic view of the outside, according to Polestar's website, showing more of what's behind you. Visibility in the dark and in rainy condition is also vastly improved. I want to know if it has windshield wipers that will wipe the lens.
It uses AI to basically erase the water, so it fixes it for you.
This is really, I mean, I don't know if I could get used to something like that.
You would get used to it within a week.
Yeah.
I don't
You
know.
get used to it within a week.
the only car that I drove that sort of like own now is Hannah's 2012 Jeep with a rear view camera. I never had a car with a rear view camera.
You're talking about a backup camera.
A backup, yeah.
Yeah.
And the mirrors, the side view mirrors don't work very well. So I was telling her, I said, I can't stand it. Every time I drive it back, I have to turn around and look, and it's kind of hard. She said, Dad, that's why you have a backup camera.
Yeah.
And I can get used to it.
But again, you're not driving it every day.
Well, right.
Yeah, my girlfriend's car's got a backup camera. I drive that pretty regularly.
I mean, with a car like this, you would have to. Because there is no...
I mean, I'm going to be honest. It's not that I don't like the backup camera. For me, it's just habit of not using it. So I don't use it every once in a while. I mean, I'll use it to gauge how close I am to the, if I'm in a parking garage or street parallel parking. It's a good gauge to figure out if you're in the lines on the back, if you're pulling into an open spot. But I still turn my head. It's just
I
it's
put
habit.
one in the Colorado pickup that I have. It was part of the radio I put in. And I ran the wire back and I mounted it. It had a bracket to mount it to the license plate holder.
Mm-hmm.
And it is fabulous. I mean, just
Yeah.
especially with the pickup truck trying to navigate. And remember I talked about that smart screen that gives you CarPlay?
Yeah.
Yeah, the smart screen comes with a backup camera.
Yeah, pretty much anything that you
Yeah.
buy now that has a screen on it will come with.
Yeah.
Now, unfortunately, I can't speak for all of them, but the backup camera resolution, especially on the cheaper ones, is
Bad.
garbage. I mean, it's like 480, it's like 360p or 480i at best. But again, for the purpose of gauging how close your car is to a wall or another car or a line, it's fine. But the resolutions are garbage on.
I mean,
I had one issue
I'm
with the
go ahead.
one issue with it. I had a Nissan Altima, 2015 Altima, had backup camera. Problem was that when it rained, a drop of water would get on the lens and it just messed it all up.
Yeah.
The design was just bad.
Now, 15 was pretty early still for
Yeah, it was pretty
that
early.
kind of stuff.
I have that 2016 Toyota Corolla, and I put in cruise control in that. It didn't come with it. But
Really?
it was pre-wired.
Huh.
And if you could check and say, if you have this VIN number, it will work. So I bought the paddle. I took the airbag out, and the bolt holes were there. The connector was there. I put it in. Bang! It works. So I
Interesting.
found out the same is true. I have the radio I have will work with a backup camera. If you buy a kit, you can retrofit it in. I'm going to do it. I haven't done it yet. It's just the wiring is going to be a little complicated getting it back to where it has to go. But Toyota builds the car, so these features can be added by the dealer.
Sure.
And so they only have one wire harness. So they don't have to, that's, you don't have the right wire harness to do this or that. So it's really pretty cool.
I'll tell
That's
you,
smart from a manufacturing standpoint.
Yes. It just saves them money.
And great for a DIY consumer standpoint.
Yeah.
You can just add the stuff in.
I'm going to have hard time getting used to that.
But
The
what?
truck uses a lot of gas. It's a big pickup.
Yeah.
So I was asking Omar again. I was asking Omar if he had any small car. And he says, I've got a CRV here. You can have it. There's really nothing wrong with it except a little oil leak. It's a 1977. No, 1997.
I was going to say, good Lord.
That's like
It's got
generation
gas
one.
mileage.
1997. It's the first generation of
Yeah.
CRV. It's got 270,000 miles on it.
Ooh.
It's driving great. I mean, yeah, it needs
Yeah,
some.
but there's no way that that's getting better gas mileage than.
Oh yeah, it does. Yeah.
Really?
Has that got the 2.4 liter
It's a 2.
cylinder?
It's a 4-cylinder 2.
Two
2.0.
something, Yeah.
But it has no lock, electric lock.
Yeah.
So you can't unlock it. You have to use the key. It's got great AC. Boy, oof.
Does it have power steering?
It's got power steering.
Does it have
Um,
headlights?
There's, I
Oh,
mean,
does it? What about the window? Are the windows electronic?
the windows are electric. Yeah,
That's actually surprising.
yeah, but the driver door is electric lock.
Oh, okay. Well, that's fine.
But I don't know that. I mean, reading about it, they said that all of them came with the ability to use a fob to unlock the remote, but you have to try it. So I'm going to
Even
get
if it
one.
doesn't, you can add it.
Well, I don't want to get into starting modifying.
Modifications on it.
I just want
30-year-old
something
car.
that I can. Yeah, I mean, this is a car. I'm going to go to the grocery store. I'm going to go, just to piddle with and drive around.
How
town.
much better is the? I'm still going to question you on how much better is the gas mileage.
I think he said the mileage was 21. and
That's
because
interesting.
it was his son's car, and Amr was telling me it was about 21,
That's pretty
and the
remarkable
truck
after
was getting
30
about
years.
11, 12.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, I guess you do have a big truck, so I guess
yeah. So and
that's
anyway,
right.
I mean that's not the point. The point is, it's nice to have a little car. I mean, you go to Costco. I went to Costco, and
Oh
it
gosh, try to
parking
park
was
there.
bam. I'm in.
I think that what we should do is create a uh, a gang that goes over and manage parking at Costco, so we can get people to pay us to to find a spot for them. It was get crazy.
You make a good point, Amnon. And I've been in the car market for, I say, in the market, actively, kind of a passerby in the car market because I'm looking for a truck, and I have thought about if I end up getting one before I actually need one, aka a major mechanical issue on my current car. I've thought about keeping, because my car's not worth anything, just keeping it for that reason. Like
Yeah.
going downtown on a Friday night, it'd be a whole hell of a lot easier to park my
Yep.
little Volkswagen Jetta than a Tundra or a Tacoma.
Right.
If you
Absolutely.
if you're looking at Tundras, make sure you check model years because there's some
Every car has
Yeah,
those.
well,
recent
the recent Tundras are a major
engine
problem.
issues that just
Yeah,
it's
Yeah.
Ford, Chevy, all these companies, Toyota, Honda have manufacturing issues that are making engines literally shred themselves from contamination from
Well,
microscopic
it's
particles and all kinds of
it's
issues.
not only that. I mean, it's since the Jeep, and now you look at the CRV, and you're looking for information, and you see what years Jeep, this and this to stay away from. And
yeah.
Yeah.
and there are other things. There are electric problems. There is all kind of different problems that people say stay away from that. Now, you need to look and see if it's alignment problem. Then yeah, it's going to cost you, but this can be fixed.
Well, if it's a
It's
wear issue, that's different. The
well, I mean,
suspension wear than it is from a engineering failure
yeah,
that caused the engine to go.
yeah.
So
Well,
That's
they just recalled a bunch of F-150s this week. I think I
yes,
saw
yep,
or last week I saw an alert
hundreds
on
of
that.
thousands.
Yeah,
I
I didn't
didn't.
read what the issue was, but I saw the
I've been
headline.
following several people on YouTube that are reporting on this whole thing and why. And there's a guy who's a professional engine rebuilder, and he did analysis of these engines that were brought in that literally shredded themselves. Main journal bearings, crankshaft journal bearings, driving down the highway, and they just rip themselves to shreds. No warning.
I don't
Hmm.
think.
That
I don't think my truck here was
no,
involved in that
you're far enough back that it's not
because
an
it's
issue. But
already two hundred and
he
fifty
said
thousand, and
it
it's
began
like
during
new.
COVID when they had shortages of workers.
Oh yeah,
And they also had so many things that they were being overlooked. But the building of the smaller and smaller engines with more output from turbos is the main problem. And
yeah.
the fact that this tiny microscopic particles are still left in the castings of the engine that don't get washed out, and they get into the oil and they destroy the engines. Yeah, everybody. Stellantis now has across all their products has this problem.
Yeah,
Oh
and
well.
the last thing about this CRV, when I asked Omar back when Hannah needed a car, but she wanted a 4-wheel drive or an all-wheel drive, and so now that's a 2-wheel drive. And I asked him, I said, make sure. He said, yeah. I asked Omar, it's a 2-wheel drive. Well, it's a 4-wheel drive.
Yeah, I didn't think CRV was
When
made as a
no,
two
no,
wheel.
they
They
do
did?
make.
Oh, I didn't realize.
But when we put it on the lift, I mean, it's really hard to tell that it's a 4-wheel drive because the shaft is so thin and the axles are so thin that they look like just part of the suspension.
Mm.
But it's yeah, and
So
it was vibrating like crazy at 40 miles, and everybody was saying, "Yeah, you need to balance your tires. Let's do a rotation with it. Finally, after put it in on the lift and looked, and one of the mechanics over at the garage looked and he
The
said,
drive
"Amnon,
shaft.
your U joint is broken."
Yep.
Because I figure it's a vibration. It's not a shimmy, and all for the rear shaft. So we took the drive shaft out for now, and it's perfect. I mean, I cannot tell a difference.
As long as there aren't some, probably back far enough that there aren't some complicated sensors back
no, there
for
are no sensors whatsoever.
traction features and all that.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I worked on a 2008
Anti-slip.
Element, which is the same chassis as the CRV.
Well, I mean, it's just interesting that it's an old car, and I already got used to, the fob and this and that, and everything is,
So-
the
This is not a
seat.
technical question, but what outside of, obviously you're doing this for gas mileage, makes sense.
Well, no, I mainly do it for parking.
Okay, parking.
That's what the
parking-
main thing was.
Okay, parking, gas mileage. What is your cost on having that car? So you're obviously you're paying your state registration on it, right? That
Which,
can't be that
you
much
mean
'cause
the-
of valve.
The CRV?
Yeah, I'm saying so you've added an additional car. So like what are your yearly
the
costs associated with
The insurance, I think, is $181 every 6 months.
Okay, so you've got let's call it $400 in insurance. And then
And
I get your registration.
The registration, I think that's $30.
$30 for that, and then I guess the tax value
The
on
tax
it has gotta be
value
so
on it
minuscule.
is $600, so it's next to
not
nothing.
It's negligible.
So for $500 a year. So
Yeah.
the question is, are you saving $500 a year? Well, you're not doing it for gas, but if you
Look,
were, are you saving $500 a year?
I'd rather have something like this and not save than have to park and
That's
hit
good. That's a
another
good point.
car and then
Yeah.
insurance.
I
Yeah,
have more vehicles than I probably should, but each one has a reason.
But that's
Yeah,
because
I mean-
I was thinking for myself, like when I've thought about like, okay, let's say I bought a new car, not new, but new to me car tomorrow. Would it make financial sense for me to keep my Volkswagen Jetta? And I don't know what the answer to that question is.
I think it would, because I know you, anytime you have a problem, you call me. And you don't call that often, maybe once or twice a year, and it's always something simple. So I would say yes, you keep
But
it.
but mine's going to be a lot. But like mine's going to be more expensive than that. Like I mean, my insurance is like $300 every 6. Now, part of that is my age. That's why my insurance is more expensive. So I'm going to be looking at probably $1,000 a year to keep it. I don't know that I'm going to get $1,000 worth of value out of it.
Well, the other thing about driving something like this is if it gets demolished, if I don't get hurt, it's no big deal. If it gets scratched, so what? If it gets bumped, so what?
Scratches are the least of my problem. My car's got dings and door rusted off and all this other stuff. It's irrelevant.
Yeah,
but I've always wondered with
Hey,
that,
Nick.
like where is the you plot two lines on a graph. At what point do they touch and cross? Yours sounds like it's pretty simple because the costs are so low.
Right.
So yeah, this is interesting.
Nick, did you look at the chat?
Let's see. For an older car, you get liability. Now, well, I already have liability.
Yeah.
but
Who
it's
said
still
that?
the great Merle? Yeah, I think. And also, I wonder if that does your insurance go down when you add a second car?
Oh yeah,
Probably.
it always.
Yeah,
is.
well, that's
and,
multi-car
and it
discount.
goes
Yeah, see, I
lower
only
when
have
you have
one.
3.
I only have one vehicle, so
Yeah, that's
probably part of the reason
absolutely.
why.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've always wondered what that point is.
But you see, that's the thing that brought all this is before I ended up switching insurance companies.
Mhm.
And I found out that there's a company called Haggerty. I remember 'em from years ago, but they do older cars, collector cars, things like that.
Yeah, I've heard of
And
them.
I had full insurance on the Jeep and full insurance on the Deuce and a Half, which the Deuce and a Half was about three something, and the Jeep was also about three something. With Haggerty, both of them are cheaping the 300.
With full liability?
It's full liability. Not only that, it's also because it's a collector's car. Then if something happens to it, they'll cover it. So it's not
Interesting.
full coverage, but it's for but you don't use those car a lot, so that's why. So
Sure.
I did this, and then I said, okay, so for the other cars, now I can get comprehensive, and it's all around. It saved me money on insurance.
Yeah, I dropped my comprehensive probably 5 or 6 years ago.
That's fine. You shouldn't have.
No, I don't need it. I mean, the car's not.
No,
worth it,
comprehensive is fine to have. It's not much.
No,
It's like
I have basic. All I have is liability. That's it.
yeah, comprehensive.
You
is
also have
all-
to remember, I'm 29 years old, so my insurance is exorbitantly more expensive than. Both
if
of
you
yours
have
is.
full coverage, it's absorbent. It's really huge.
No, but I'm saying in general, like if you and I walked into an insurance agency at the exact same time to get the same coverage on the same car, yours would be significantly cheaper than mine. There is the wall. I think it's 35 where it starts going down pretty.
So you got
dramatically
something to look forward to.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Death taxes and my auto insurance going down. So that's part of. I mean, it's even, for example, I'm not going to be here next week. I'm going to be up in Connecticut for a wedding, and I had to flying into LaGuardia and renting a car.
Oh, good luck.
And the car rental is more expensive because of my age. Under 35, there is a flat fee that these rental companies assess to the cost of the car.
Plus, at LaGuardia, you have all these concession fees. They zap visitors.
Yeah, I
for
saw that. It's
all
like a
these junk fees, yeah.
$28 fee for some nonsense or something.
Yeah. When I was 17, I had my first car. It was back then $400, and that was like $1 million to me.
That's
Right?
outrageous.
It was crazy. My dad took me to his insurance agent, but he said, "You're not being on my policy." And it was a wise thing. I never had an accident.
And that was
But-
not new. That was not a new car.
Oh, God, no. Well,
What year
yeah, no,
was
it was
that?
not a new car. It was a 64 Oldsmobile Cutlass.
Geesh. I mean, my first car here in the States, granted, I was 24, 25. The first car that I got was $49 a year
Hmm.
for insurance. It was just liability. So 400, was it full coverage for an older car? Well, I mean, back then, it wasn't that old car.
No, yeah, back then it was
Yeah.
straight off the lot.
Yeah. Anyway.
I have to
So,
make a decision, though, about the most expensive vehicle I have is the camper.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure it is.
With just the registration fee and then the insurance fee. And I'm looking now, I have to go back to my insurance company and make sure they understand that this is a 6-month-a-year vehicle. Do not take it out in the wintertime.
I don't know that matters. I don't think
know
that
I don't know that it
matters.
matters anymore.
Yeah.
But
Because I mean,
yeah.
you could say that, and then if you're driving it around in January and wreck it, what are they going to do? Not give you coverage?
my other issue is I have 2 secondary cars, the pickup truck and the Toyota, that both have extremely low miles. So that I have collision on them. I don't know that it's worth it. Now I got to look at that to say if it got wiped out, what are they going to give me? Because it's so old.
Yeah.
But the pickup truck has 21,000 miles on it,
What year's the pickup truck?
2008.
Damn.
And the Toyota, 2016 Toyota has 18,000 miles on it. So I'm cherishing these vehicles.
Oh yeah.
It's like I think about if it gets to the point where the newer cars are so complicated and too expensive to fix, these are not going to be that way. They're more traditional and
Nick.
I'll say this. I'll end on this. The used car market right now is
Ridiculous.
stupid. I mean, it's stupid. I'm looking at trucks with 150,000 miles that these people want 32 grand for. I mean, it's absurd what they want.
Yeah.
There's a huge market for vehicles 20 years old and older to be refurbished. Haven't just trying to find them.
Go ahead, Ann.
Nick, are you using an Xbox?
Yes.
It says Microsoft is
It's been sitting under my TV stand in my living room for 6 years since I moved into the house and really hasn't gotten much action.
It says that Microsoft is cutting the monthly price of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate and PC Game Pass.
Yeah,
but
what are the new prices? Do you have?
They don't say. I didn't see the prices, but it says
it's actually It's an interesting thing.
It says, but the trade-off is that new Call of Duty releases will no longer arrive on the service at launch. Instead, they'll show up about a year later.
Yeah, that makes sense.
A year later? Jeez.
Well, again, here's the thing. The Game Pass, so for those that aren't familiar, Game Pass is essentially, I mean, it's kind of self-explanatory based on the name. You pay this monthly subscription fee to Microsoft and you get access to thousands of games.
Yeah.
Now, you don't own any of those games. If you decide to stop paying, the access goes away. It's similar to Netflix or anything like that. For those really popular titles, though, that you'll play consistently, I don't think that's the end of the world. I mean, to me, the big winner with Game Pass was games that I didn't know if I would like to play, but didn't want to spend $60 on to figure it out. For a game like a Call of Duty, which if you're a big Call of Duty fan, you're going to play, unless you're me, and I bought the last one and played it for like 3 hours. I don't think it's the end of the world.
Yeah.
But the prices are coming down significantly. The Game Pass Ultimate, and this, we don't ever see this in the subscription world. Game Pass Ultimate is dropping from $29.99 a month to $22.99 a month. So I mean that's huge.
Yeah.
And then PC Game Pass is going from $16.49 to $13.99.
Yeah.
I mean, but you're talking about $6-7 a month on the Game Pass Ultimate. That is a significant reduction in price, and we don't ever see that. And when was the last time you heard Spotify or Netflix were cutting their monthly costs? Never. It's always the opposite.
Oh.
So
okay.
I mean, but play it out by a year. So it goes, the service goes down $7 a month in cost. The new Call of Duty is $70. I mean, you're still saving money.
Okay.
Because you're paying for, I mean, you're paying for it for 12 months. So you're definitely exceeding by 10 months, you're exceeding the savings that you would have having it on there.
Okay. I never had any of those passes, so that's why.
I hope that maybe that this is a trend. We never see literally ever any of these services or companies ever reduce their cost. Maybe Microsoft is the trend leader on this. I don't know.
So wait and see.
Yeah.
And the last thing I have here is Apple announced that Tim Cook will step down as CEO in September after 15 years in the role, handing the job to hardware chief John Turnus. Thoughts, Spence?
I'm sorry, what?
No. What? So, Nick, thoughts?
Yeah, I don't. There's not any controversy from what I've read or have seen. I think he's just maybe done with the job. I mean, 15 years is a long time to be doing anything. It's not like he. I can't imagine he's strapped for cash. CEO of Apple for the last 15 years.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going through a very dynamic time right now in technology. Maybe he's how old? Let's see. How old is old
I don't know.
Tim Apple, as Trump calls him? He's 65, and so
Yeah.
I mean, you know,
He's still going to
he's
be on the. He's going to be on the
yeah.
chairman of the board.
According to Forbes, his net worth is somewhere in the ballpark of $2.85 billion. So 65, I'm sure he's got grandchildren, but
Yeah, he's
I
got
don't,
some years to enjoy now.
and that's what I'm saying. So there was no, it wasn't like Steve Jobs getting fired the first time back in, when was that? The mid 90s, the first time he got fired from
early
Apple.
90s. So
Early 90s, after the botched Lisa and all that other shit that he'd screwed up. So I think and there's not really, you would assume that because that happened, I think Wednesday or Thursday of this week, you would assume that when the CEO of Apple steps down that there's some huge reverberation, but there really hasn't been, because I think he's just done with the responsibility. Turn it over to the next guy.
Yeah, I mean, I wish that the writers would use, Tim Cook will step down, is retiring from being CEO.
And that's what it seems like. Now we could find out in the months and years to come that there was in fact some major disagreement he was having with the board, but that's kind of what it seems like, is he's just retiring and stepping back from his role.
He's supposed to be becoming chairman of the board.
Yeah, but I mean, chairman of the board.
It could be just be ceremonial. So, but
yeah, and I mean, it would make sense if he still wants to stay involved, but not have to sit in an office every single day and have to deal with this. What are we doing about RAM prices here and all that other stuff?
If it was me, I'd have been gone on the first billion.
Yeah, I mean,
I would have been gone on the first 50 million.
Yeah, he and the fact that, like Spence said, the fact that he's staying on the board is an indication that there's not some major drama behind the scenes that he's just throwing up his hands and is saying, "To hell with this."
Did you read Trump's comments about him?
I did.
It was actually showed that they got along well.
Well, I'm sure they did.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hilarious to see all of these tech CEOs, try and get along with the president. I mean, you'd be a complete and utter moron, and I would argue you'd be completely defrauding your shareholders to try and get into a pissing match with the president of the United States. It's just not a smart idea.
People do it.
Yeah, well, they do, and it's for a company like Apple, they would be stone cold stupid to try and wage war with any administration. It's just not a position you want to be in. And we've seen it in the past. You can look at the DOJ with Zuckerberg and Meta and these other Google and these other companies. That's not a good position to be in when you're a multi-hundred or a multi-trillion-dollar worldwide tech company. But you just don't want to be there.
They do have some issues.
Sure.
They've got some product introduction issues and strategy going forward issues.
Yeah, and there's
especially
some outside
the Mac. They're trying to figure out what the next best thing is.
Yeah, and there's some outside market pressure. The AI stuff is with the cost in memory has played a huge factor on the smartphone market. So there's a lot of stuff that's a problem that I'm sure he's just said, "The hell with this. I'm worth nearly $3 billion. I'm going to go relax a little."
All right.
Maybe we can get him on the show, Amnon.
You what?
Yeah.
So maybe we could get him on the show once he retires.
Amnon, you could probably get him in studio. Come by.
Yeah. If he comes to Raleigh.
Give him a call.
Well, they are opening
Spence, we can put some makeup on you, and you probably could look like him.
Yeah, I could pretend to be.
Yeah,
actually, now that you say that, yeah. Spence, we could change his haircut a little bit. Yeah, we could make that happen.
Yeah,
just I got to make my hair completely white. That'd be good.
Black turtleneck. We'll make it all happen.
All right.
Hey, real quick before we go,
and
speaking
yeah,
of Apple,
go ahead.
did you guys? It's an older movie. Did you guys watch the Ashton Kutcher, Steve Jobs movie that came out, whatever it was, 10 or 15 years ago?
No,
No.
nope.
I watched it again I've watched it a couple of times. It's based on the book that his memoir that he had come out. Get the name of the movie. It's literally called what the hell's it called? I think it's literally called Steve Jobs. I watched it for probably the third or fourth time the other day, and reminded myself of how bad of a movie it was, and how it didn't. Knowing the history of Apple and knowing everything that actually went on, I get you have to make stuff kind of. It's got to be sexy for consumption in mass media. It did a huge disservice to the Apple story.
Well, they give you that disclaimer about happenings have been adjusted for public consumption, or whatever they
Yeah.
say about a movie, to say that based on
Based on actual events.
actual events. But
Well, plus they make Steve Jobs out to be a complete jerk, which is actually not inaccurate. But he comes off terrible.
you
Well,
geniuses sometimes are.
Yeah.
Musk can do some wacky stuff.
Oh yeah.
Huh.
We've got a close friend that works with him, and I've heard some stories.
So I think his universal income idea is, I don't favor that, but he wants to put it out there.
Yeah, it's his right to do so. I couldn't disagree further, but guess we'll wait and see.
Now, if he gives
All
me
right.
a universal income,
Don't you have that? Aren't you old enough to be collecting Social Security?
I am. But I mean, if he gives me, he says, well, you know what, we're going to give you, $600,000 a year. I said, okay,
Yeah, me as well.
I'll be happy to do that.
All right. Anything else anybody wants to mention?
No, I will not be here next week. So,
Okay.
toodaloo.
So you're going up for a wedding. Are you getting married?
No, and I'm telling you what, I'm going up real quick. The wedding is Sunday afternoon. I'm flying out Sunday morning. I'll be back by 3:00 Monday afternoon. So it's
wow.
a very quick in and out.
That's it. That's fine. Just
Be
Oh, yeah.
safe.
be safe.
Thank you.
Careful in New York. Have
Yeah,
you seen the latest coming out of major, terrible cities? What's happening now with people? You be driving on like an interstate, and you, during an off time of day, and you take an off ramp, there will be
Yeah.
people that will be stalking you and pull their cars in to block you and rob you.
Yeah, it's bizarre.
What?
Yes. The one thing I watched was, do you know who Steve Inman is?
No.
He's the guy that has X page where he does, I forget what his.
It doesn't matter what.
It doesn't matter. But the point was, he posted this thing to show how, I think it was called, "That's Gonna Hurt" or something like that. Well, guy's got a dash cam. He's driving along, and these guys jump out of their car and try to get him to stop, and he just plows right through him.
Oh.
And he said, "Yeah, it's going to leave a mark." But yeah, it's just brazen, third world
So
country stuff.
but you're still going to New York?
I don't really have a choice.
No, not you,
Oh.
Spence.
I'm
Spence
going
brought it
upstate
up.
New York. I'm not going anywhere near the city.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm going up via Binghamton, so it's like.
Ah, yes, good old Binghamton, the land of nothing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, that's where my dad's family is, all up in the Elmira, Binghamton,
Oh.
Finger Lakes area. And I found family that I didn't know up there. Oh, they were not directly connected to my dad growing up, but like I went to visit this one guy. He says, "Oh, I have pictures of your great grandfather." I said, "Really?" And we went up there to just do some research and find out. I used something called Find a Grave, because we heard that there was a shoemaker cemetery up there. And so I found my father's mother and father.
Right.
My grandmother died in 1918. in the Great Flu epidemic. She was like 32 years old. And my grandfather died in the 1930s.
So-
and found out they were at this cemetery in Binghamton, not Binghamton.
How did we
Elmira,
get to
sorry.
talk about that?
What?
How did we get to talk about this again?
Going up to New York.
Oh,
the-
yeah.
But the idea, I used these great online tools and it said, well, they're buried at this wood something cemetery in Elmira. So we went and, oh yeah, here's the section, location. There's no markers. They were buried without markers.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And I thought, that's kind of weird. And so my two sisters and my brother and I have all chipped in to put a marker down for my grandparents. We're going to go up and see it in July.
Nice.
But without
Technology.
the internet, we would never have been able to find this stuff.
Yeah. I
The-
mean,
the-
the only
What-
alternative would have been going through, if you could find it, old newspapers from which I'm sure is where this data
or
is coming
census
from.
census
Yeah.
records.
Yeah.
But
and to try and
I'll
find
give
it.
you a very positive
Uh,
story for navigation. Using Google Maps, you actually put in Shoemaker Cemetery. It found it. And we're driving along through this back road near Van Etten, New York. And we get to it's literally trees on both sides. And it says it's right off to the right. And we're looking, and it's just trees. There's nothing here. So we continue down that road. The next clearing I get to, there's a mailbox, a Shoemaker on it. So we stop. It turns out it's my father's family. And the guy he said, oh, yeah, the cemetery, it's on my property. And he took me in. They had to go in ATVs because the road was so rough. But I found it. So without that, I would have never been able to find it.
All right. I'm not going to ask anymore if anybody has anything else to add.
Nope.
We're just going to end the show.
Toodaloo.
Thanks, Nick. And thanks, Spence. And good morning, Kathy, Hannah, Nabil, Mac, Norm, Donna, Dina, Mati, Eleanor, Sarid, Yaakov and Yael, Katie. Thank you for tuning to Computer Sticking Out. We hope you enjoyed and maybe learned something from our time together. Remember to practice safe computing. Back up your hard drive and update your virus scanner. And remember to change any same passwords wherever you use them. We'll be back here next Sunday at 9, but you can always reach us at computerstukenow.com. Monday through Friday, 5 to 6 a.m., Nick hosts the Carolina Journal News Hour on WBT 107.9 FM and on YouTube. So just go to YouTube, search for the Carolina Journal News Hour and get all the details. And Monday through Friday, 7 to 8 a.m., Nick hosts the Nick Craig Show at nickcraig.com. So just go to nickcraig.com and get all the details and download maybe old episodes. Have a great week. Stay safe. See you next week.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by StreamingGear.com and DeltaForce.net.